Well, my name is Diana Pineda, and I work for the University of Southern California as a project manager for the Center of Innovation Research with veterans, military, and families. And I'm also working with actually two particular research projects, and working with Ron Astor on the military child project, working with veterans and working with military. And I'm also an adjunct professor here at the University of Southern California teaching students.
Tell me about your personal experience dealing with military dependents and family members.
Well, in terms of personal experience, I actually live in a community where there's a large presence of military, so a lot of my friends, neighbors, and they're all in the military or have spouses in the military. So I certainly hear a lot about what's going on and so forth, living in a community that's actually really close to the military installation. And in terms of other personal experience, I actually do have very close family members and friends that have served in the Navy and also in the Army. So I've actually did a little traveling myself. I've been to Fort Lewis and a couple other installations too. So.
Has that travel and the family kind of helped with the research or teaching for this program?
Well, I certainly had some background understanding in terms of part of like the culture and a little bit of that background. But I think so.
How has this organization that you're affiliated with addressed the needs for military-dependent students?
Well, I think USC has certainly been innovative in creating this program, particularly starting with the MSW, Military Social Work Concentration. It's just a program that's trying to address many needs by training all these MSWs to go out into the field, to be able to be placed at different sites that can address veteran needs and family issues in relations to military. And right now, as we're seeing more and more people being deployed and coming back with a variety of different issues, it's certainly a heightened need. And I think it's just great that USC has embraced this program and to be able to train so many different social workers and to fulfill some of that need.
Yeah. What do you consider one of the top priorities when dealing with military-dependent children?
Top priorities, there's so many. But in terms of top priorities, I think ideally working with the families and providing the support that they need, whether it's pre-deployment, during deployment, after deployment, because of the fact that there's so many issues that are going on. I have friends that have little ones that they're wondering if their dad's going to be able to come home okay. And I have a close friend of mine who her husband has been deployed already 3 times, and he's actually getting ready to be deployed again. And they have 2 little ones, and a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old. So she's mentally trying to prepare herself and prepare her children. So I can see that being really tough, and certainly trying to prepare the children I think is just a priority right now. So working with schools, developing programs that can support the families, I think is just really a top priority right now.
What do you think is the best way to find out how many military children there are and where they are?
The best way to find, I'm sorry, what was I saying?
To find out where or how many military-connected children there are and where they are, so where these services are needed best.
Well, there's certain resources that are out there, but in terms of connecting families and so forth, a lot of it has to do with working with the communities and working with the military installations, finding out what the needs are. And certainly with this project, with the military school project, going out to the different schools and assessing as to what the needs are. Part of that would be gathering the data that the schools are collecting And that's actually part of my role involved with the California Healthy Kids Survey, is to help with the data and that collection piece, so that there is evidence to support, okay, well, these are some of the needs that this particular school district needs to address, and we could go ahead and look at that and develop interventions to fit those needs.
How do you think the public education has responded to the needs of military-dependent children?
I think there certainly is a gap still, and there certainly is a huge need to address some of these issues. I know we sometimes see in the media and the news, certain initiatives and so forth, but there certainly still is a long way in terms of providing that support that could be feasible and practical to reach to the families.
Yeah. What do you hope or what do you think that the students here today and the interns will get from this workshop this weekend?
Well, I think the workshops have certainly provided, with a lot of the students and administrators from different school districts, the information as to what are some of these families dealing with, particularly the children, the stressors involved, the issues that they're confronting, and how to look at programs as way of support for these children in order to develop coping skills that they could go ahead and take and develop different strategies to deal with some of these issues. So I think it's valuable in that sense, and also the tools that they're providing in the classrooms and workshops too, I think are valuable, so that they could go ahead and take that and share among the districts, the schools, and so programs could go ahead and be rolled out and implemented.
Last question. What the military child goes through so many changes and a lot of inconsistency. What would be a good way to, or what is something that we could add to the schools that could be a constant, something that they can expect no matter where they go?
In any public school you're referring to?
Yeah, I guess in any public school.
Okay. Well, I think certain programs that are available for the children, whether it's a support group or something that's there that they could always rely on in terms of having that particular support, and certainly having the trained counselors there so that the students can have someone to discuss some issues and be able to go to that person and receive some type of support. I think what's happening right now is that a lot of the educators don't have that information or that knowledge, and so sometimes they may not understand what the needs are and not know how to approach that. And so I think it's valuable to have those particular people that are in the school settings to be educated and have that knowledge and those particular tools at their hands so they can go ahead and provide for students. So certainly support groups and having the resources at their fingertips and being able to understand some of the culture as well and some of the issues that are being challenged to these families.
And bring them to be on the same page. And
Exactly.
Understand.
Exactly. I mean, I came across a friend of a friend who had a child at a school setting, for example, and this child, has a parent who's deployed currently, and the children are saying, "Oh, your dad's not going to come back." So the child got freaked out and came home and asked mom, "Is that true?" So, educating not only the administrators, but also, providing that support, and so that kids are not also bullying, because in a sense it's sort of bullying, and when you go ahead and come across that these children are, putting the stigma upon this other child and not having an understanding, so that the administrators at that particular school, from what I heard, there wasn't really much of an intervention until it was actually raised to the parent. So, and having that, having those tools at the ready, and being able to have the educators be involved, the teachers, and so forth, so that maybe they could have some workshops around the schools and have these topics and forums, so that those who are not part of the military culture can also be understanding and have this, at least this understanding base that these issues are being impacted upon these families.